something went seriously wrong at Trump National Doral, a $20 million PGA Tour event, the biggest names in golf. And suddenly, play is stopped, suspended. Chaos everywhere. Storms crash in. Players frozen mid-round. Fans confused. And with Donald Trump himself on site, the tension skyrockets. But here's the twist. This wasn't just weather. This was pressure, politics, and a moment that exposed cracks in the PGA Tour. If you love golf drama, hit like, subscribe, and let's break down what really happened. The morning at Trump National Doral did not feel like the final day of a $20 million showcase. It felt tense, unpredictable, almost fragile. The Blue Monster course was ready. Players were locked in. Cameras were rolling. This was supposed to be the climax. Then everything froze. Without warning, the announcement cut through the momentum. The final round was delayed due to dangerous weather. It wasn't a gradual slowdown, it was immediate. Thunderstorms were already building, lightning warnings triggered protocol, and officials had no choice but to pull players back before a single decisive shot could be struck. Broadcasters scrambled to adjust. Commentary turned uncertain. Fan anticipation into chaos within minutes. This was not a case of unexpected weather, it was a calculated risk that failed. Times were pushed earlier in the day. Players were grouped into threesomes instead of the usual pairs. Both the weather and stakes collide all at once. The situation was already unstable, but the presence of Donald Trump elevated it into something far more complex than a weather delay. This was not just another tournament stop. It was being played at a property deeply tied to a political figure who continues to command global attention. With Trump on site for the final round, combined with a sudden weather suspension, it became an operational challenge. Players were held back, staff movements slowed, and access points tightened, all while uncertainty grew. Trump's interactions with players and eventual involvement in the winner's moment added another layer of visibility to an already high-pressure environment. This was no longer just about sport. The tournament transformed into a political spectacle where every delay, every decision, and every camera angle carried added weight. The combination of weather disruption and heightened security turned a standard disruption into a complex, high-stakes scenario that the tour had to navigate in real time. Everything about this event was designed to project control, prestige, and financial power. With a $20 million purse and designation as a signature event, the expectations on the PGA Tour were absolute. These are the tournaments meant to define the modern era of the tour. Elite fields, global broadcasts, flawless execution. But the moment the final round was suspended, that image began to crack. Broadcast partners were left adjusting live coverage. Sponsors faced uncertainty around exposure. Players had to reset mentally without knowing when they would return. In high-stakes golf, timing is everything, and once that rhythm is broken, the entire competitive structure is affected. What makes this moment significant is not the delay itself, it's what it represents. The PGA Tour had no room for error at an event of this scale, yet it found itself reacting instead of controlling. Even with contingency plans in place, the situation escalated beyond its grip. This is the pressure of modern professional golf. Massive financial stakes, global attention, and zero tolerance for disruption. And in this case, despite preparation, the system showed vulnerability at the exact moment it needed to appear strongest. While the tournament around him drifted into uncertainty, Cameron Young became the one constant that refused to break. Entering the final round with a commanding 6-shot lead, he wasn't just ahead on the leaderboard, he was mentally separated from the chaos. Delays like this can destroy rhythm, increase pressure, and open the door for collapse. Instead, Young treated it like background noise. His composure stood out even more because of what happened earlier in the tournament, when he called a penalty on himself, reinforcing a level of control and integrity that carried into the final day. This wasn't a player hoping to survive the moment. This was someone dictating it. Even as uncertainty surrounded scheduling, weather windows, and competitive flow, his approach never shifted. The lead remained intact, the execution stayed clean, and the result never truly felt in doubt. In a situation where external factors disrupted nearly everyone, Young operated on his own terms. He didn't just hold the lead, he protected it with authority and finished the job comfortably, proving that elite focus can outlast even the most chaotic conditions. For Scotty Sheffler, this tournament added another layer to a narrative that is becoming difficult to ignore. As the world number one, expectations are not just about competing, they are about winning. Yet once again, he found himself finishing in second place, chasing rather than controlling the outcome. On paper, another runner-up finish looks strong. In reality, it signals a pattern that raises questions. The issue is not talent or consistency. Sheffler remains one of the most complete players in the game. The problem is timing. Slow starts have repeatedly forced him into recovery mode, leaving too much ground to make up against players who are already in rhythm. At Doral, that gap proved decisive. While he pushed forward and applied pressure, the deficit created early in the tournament never truly closed. This is where frustration builds, not in failure, but in near success that keeps repeating. Each second-place finish adds weight to the narrative. This wasn't just another loss. It reinforced the idea that the conversation around Sheffler will continue to shift. The reputation of Trump National Doral is built on one thing. It does not forgive mistakes. Known globally as the Blue Monster, rotation, symbolizing a separation that extended beyond sport. Bringing the event back in 2026 changes that narrative entirely. It signals a recalibration of priorities, where commercial value, the presence of Donald Trump adds another layer, turning the event into a focal point for discussion far beyond golf. In this context, every disruption, including the weather delay, becomes magnified. The event represents a form of reconciliation, whether intentional or not, and that makes every moment more scrutinized. This is no longer just a tournament, it is a reflection of how sport, business, and politics continue to intersect at the highest level. The official explanation from the PGA Tour is clear and technically correct. Dangerous weather forced the suspension. Lightning in the area triggers non-negotiable safety protocols, and no tournament proceeds under that risk. But reducing what happened at Trump National Doral to weather alone feels incomplete. The conditions created the spark, but the environment amplified the disruption. This event was operating under unusually tight constraints. Scheduling had already been compressed in anticipation of storms, leaving little flexibility when conditions shifted. At the same time, heightened security due to the presence of Donald Trump restricted movement, slowed operational adjustments, and added layers of coordination that do not exist at a standard tournament. When the delay hit, it collided with an already stretched system. That is where the real tension lies. This was not just nature interrupting sport, it was multiple high-pressure variables converging at once. Could it have been handled differently with more buffer and scheduling? Possibly. Did the added spotlight and operational complexity make the situation harder to control? Almost certainly. What unfolded was not a single-point failure, but a moment where timing, environment, and pressure combined to expose how fragile control can become under extreme conditions. Amid all the disruption, uncertainty, and shifting timelines, one outcome never truly wavered. Cameron Young remained in control. Entering the final round with a significant lead, the expectation was that chaos might tighten the field, create pressure, or open the door for a comeback. None of that materialized. Instead, Young delivered the kind of performance that defined separation at the highest level. He did not just protect his advantage, he extended it, finishing the tournament at 19 under and securing a decisive 6-shot victory. What makes this result stand out is not just the margin, but the context. Delays disrupt rhythm, increase mental fatigue, and create opportunities for mistakes. Young absorbed all of it without deviation. His execution stayed consistent. His decision-making remained sharp, and the result never felt in doubt once play resumed. In a tournament defined by instability, he provided certainty. That is what elevates this moment beyond a routine win. It becomes a statement about control under pressure. Because sometimes the defining story is not who lifts the trophy, but how close everything came to preventing it, and how one player refused to let that happen.